It is not up to entertainment companies or corporations to teach their customers lessons. It is up to them to provide a product or service or entertainment that the customer is interested in. When the customer continually says, I am not interested in this, and you continue to push it, and then your customer goes away, you don't get to take the high ground and say, like, well, they just didn't learn their lesson. Go to hell with that shit.
The Acolyte reception has not been very positive to this point, and we are getting the same old song and dance that it's always the fans' fault. It's never the studio's fault. It's never the director, the actor. It's never the story. It's always the fans' fault when there's negative reaction to a show or anything these days.
What's the meme with Principal Skinner? Am I so out of touch? No, it's the children that are wrong.
Absolutely. Now we've got the Acolyte coming out, and we've got all the gaslighting you could ever take in your entire life. And we've got this article from Inverse, which is really strange because you could change out the name, the Acolyte, and throw Doctor Who in there. You could change the name out of the Acolyte, and you could throw the Marvels in there. You could take John Boyega out, and you could throw Brie Larson, whoever you wanted to it, because it's always the exact same thing attacking the fans, never a different story. The Acolyte is not the first Star Wars project to face the brunt of a fan backlash, and it likely won't be the last. But the new live-action series is also one of the best additions to the galaxy far away in a long time. Embracing decades of nostalgia while also thinking critically on the franchise's legacy, it also might be the most diverse Star Wars story yet. And while that's definitely a boon for marginalized fans, it's made the Acolyte the target of a vocal splinter of the fandom.
It's not a boon to Star Wars fans. It's a boon to fans of diversity. And above all else, that's who it's a boon to. If the story was good, no one would give a crap that it was diverse. The problem is when you have things like a fat Jedi, it immediately takes you out of the story that's being told. Even if the story was good, it takes you out of the story because you immediately recognize what you're seeing. You're seeing the fact that they were like, we need a diversity checkbox here. And now you're thinking about that instead of thinking about the story, because it doesn't make any sense for there to be a fat human Jedi. It doesn't make any sense for these people that train in this show in straight up martial arts, and also who train in lightsaber combat and have to be agile and have to be able to engage in physical competition with each other, as well as anyone who challenges them out in the greater galaxy. It doesn't make sense for someone to be really obese. And yet they cram that in there. That actor could have been, if you really like that actor, he could have been cast in any other role. But because everybody needs to be able to see themselves as a Jedi, even people who don't get off the couch enough, this is what we get. We get this crammed in there, and then people immediately check out because they look at it and they go, oh, I see what they did there. And now they're thinking about that. They're thinking about the construction of the show and the decision making that went into it, as opposed to the show itself as a narrative.
Anytime there's any type of critical feedback and you can explain exactly what it is, this is the thing that doesn't work, or these are the numerous errors within the continuity of the story and why things don't work out. You have people like Inverse and the Mary Sue and this and that, even the Hollywood Reporter always end up carrying water for the producers, for the company, for the production houses, for Disney, for Lucasfilm. What do they earn by selling out their own credibility, lying about stuff that they know sucks?
I guess they maintain their access, but the fact is that they make themselves irrelevant because people know that they're shilling. People understand what's going on. They understand that they're pay to play. And so to get the access and to get attaboys and to, get to interview and hobnob with these actors and the studio, get invited to Disney cupcake parties, they need to toe this line. But the thing that they don't seem to understand is people are walking away from you because of it. When they can smell that you're shilling, when they can smell that you're bought and paid for, they walk away and they stop paying attention to you. And that's why people that you hate, like Nerdrotic, like Critical Drinker, like our channel here, anybody who talks about things critically, anybody who looks at things with a critical eye and actually examines them as opposed to just eating the slop and regurgitating how great it is, those people continue to build audiences while you continue to lose audiences. All of these sites, Inverse, the Mary Sue, they've all lost relevance. Well, the Mary Sue never had relevance, but they've all, just kind of like tanked, and they're all getting bought up. They're all going away. All these online geek journalism sites are going away in the next year or so. They'll all be done. They'll all be bought up and shuttered. And good riddance, because this is what you rot. Enjoy the fruits of your shill labor.
Absolutely, because once you sold out your own credibility, there's no reason for anyone to come and listen to your opinions. The message is the most important thing. It doesn't matter what's honest, or looking at something with a critical eye and being honest about what you're seeing. It's not outright shocking to see something like The Acolyte marred by racist, misogynistic, and even anti-LGBTQ backlash. That Star Wars devotees would share multiple bad faith treatises about the series on YouTube or tank its audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is just par for the course at this point. This is, after all, the same fandom that launched consistent attacks against actors like John Boyega, Kelly Marie Tran, and Daisy Ridley, the same fandom that were publicly admonished by Ewan McGregor himself when Obi-Wan Kenobi faced similar backlash. I don't remember a whole lot of people going out there and saying, you know what, Kelly Marie Tran, she sucks, or John Boyega sucks. I remember a whole lot of people pointing out why Finn was a bad character and a wasted opportunity, why Rey was a Mary Sue, and the story didn't work out and it doesn't fit within the lore of Star Wars itself. I remember a lot of people explaining why Rose Tico was a lame character, and they basically ruined Kelly Marie Tran by putting her basically in a potato sack.
Yeah, they put her in a potato sack. They took off all of her makeup. They gave her a stupid anime hairstyle, and they made her character unlikable. I mean, what did you do for her? You did nothing for her. She added nothing to the story. You ruined Finn, a character that had potential that actually most people were excited about. I remember when the trailer came out and people were like, a black stormtrooper? That's weird because the Empire is supposed to be kind of racist, according to the expanded universe. And then, that was what people's question was how did this happen? Why is this new version of the Empire? Because we didn't know it was the dumb First Order yet. Why is this new version of the Empire so inclusive? What's going on? People were questioning it because it didn't jibe with previous Star Wars lore, but they weren't outright opposed to it. And when people saw him with the lightsaber, people were actually kind of excited. They were like, wow, a stormtrooper that becomes a Jedi? Like, what's that about? That's going to be an interesting story. But it was just a bait and switch. It was a bait and switch to hide the fact that Kathleen Kennedy's self-insert Rey was going to be the Jedi, and she was going to be the bestest ever because Kathleen Kennedy's the bestest ever. That's what we're going to get. They totally sold out Finn. And then in the second movie, they basically, Rian Johnson treats him like he's part of a minstrel show. He just becomes a running joke and a stupid clown. The first image we get of him is him walking around on the spaceship with the tube spitting water. And it's like, it's impossible to take the character seriously after that. And they certainly don't do anything on the side quest to make you take him seriously. And the one moment, and you and I have talked about this multiple times, the one moment in the movie where you go, oh my God, they're going to redeem Finn. He's going to sacrifice himself. He's going to, I don't like how they've handled him up till now, but this moment is going to be great. He's going to sacrifice himself and save all his friends. They take that away from him so that Rose can get a little kiss.
They act like the only thing people have had to say is, how dare they make a female Jedi? How dare they make a black man one of the lead characters in Star Wars, as if we'd never seen that? How dare they let an Asian lady be a cast of Star Wars? No one ever said that. We said they were bad characters, but they never ever come back with good faith arguments to actually counteract or even debate the fact that they're bad characters. They just act like that part never happened.
It's always, these misogynist men. But, anytime there's a woman like Anna, that Star Wars girl, or, Geeky Sparkles from Clownfish TV, anytime there's a woman that has criticism, they just step over them. All of these bold feminists that are so concerned about women, they just step right over the women that have the same kind of story concerns. So it's all a game. It's all a straw man. They know that the product is shit. They know that Star Wars has been ruined, but they have to defend because it fits in with their activism. They're not actual journalists, they're activists. So it has to, they have to basically circle the wagons. And so all they have is gaslighting and straw man arguments and this same tired playbook, which has not worked once. It has not worked once to get people to go see your movie or to watch your TV show or to buy your merchandise. It has not worked, but you keep going to it because it's all you have, because you are afraid of actually addressing the real problems, because you don't know what to do about those. And Disney doesn't know what to do about those because Disney doesn't know how to tell a good story anymore. They don't know what a good story is. They couldn't find a good story if it was in their back pocket and they had their hands on their ass cheeks. They wouldn't be able to find a good story. They are lost. They are done. As an entertainment company, they are floundering. And I don't know if they can come back.
Well, and the idea that you can just go out there and call people racist or misogynist or homophobe, all that kind of stuff. 10 years ago, if someone told me I was a racist, that would have been devastating to me. I wouldn't want to hear that. I'd want to sit down why did you come to this conclusion? What can I do better? But it gets bandied about so much these days. It's always thrown out in every single case. I don't care anymore. Everyone is basically immune to this.
Anytime you go to war with your customer base, anytime you start calling your customer base names and telling them we don't want you, customers now go, okay, and they leave. They leave. And then you're going, well, why wasn't this successful? Oh, it's because they're all racist misogynists. Oh, that'll get them back. Good job. Good job. Yeah, that'll bring them running back.
It's really hard to take any of that stuff personal because everyone says it in every single situation. Point in case, the problem is that nothing has changed in the 10 years since this vocal minority suddenly cried out against diverse casting and more nuanced storytelling. They've yet to actually learn their lesson. Their arguments are bleeding into even the casual discourse surrounding the Acolyte. Comments on set design and screenwriting have turned into misogynistic microaggressions against Headland. Even critiques on the series have been weaponized by its haters. There's no room for nuance when it comes to the Acolyte. You either stand with the series, flaws and all, or you're irrefutably against it. They say specifically that there's been criticism about set design and screenwriting. Those are very important ingredients when it comes into the success and design and production of a show like The Acolyte. But they're immediately, cast is not really valid because it must be microaggressions against Leslie Headland, who I guess herself had a sling of microaggressions against, I guess, females that were in the vicinity of Harvey Weinstein.
What a perfect person to do a show about the Sith, because always two there are, Wes, one to hold the power and the other to crave it. And if Leslie Headland hasn't proven that she was willing to do anything to gain power in Hollywood by sacrificing these women on the altar of Harvey Weinstein, I don't know who would better to run a show about the Sith.
Well, when they talk about it's been 10 years and fans haven't learned their lesson. Disney paid over $4 billion for Lucasfilm. It's been over 10 years. They've continued down the same path into irrelevance. It's not even a movie franchise really anymore. It's not even a big numbers generator on Disney Plus anymore. It doesn't really even compete in the streaming numbers at all because they've ran off all their fans. If anyone hasn't learned a lesson here, it's not the fans, it's the media and Disney themselves.
Who wrote this article? What's the name of the person that wrote this article?
Livy Scott.
Okay, Livy Scott. Let me make something very clear to you. It is not up to entertainment companies or corporations to teach their customers lessons. It is up to them to provide a product or service or entertainment that the customer is interested in. When the customer continually says, I am not interested in this, and you continue to push it, and then your customer goes away, you don't get to take the high ground and say like, well, they just didn't learn their lesson. Go to hell with that shit, okay? That is not the place of these companies. And until they learn their lesson, that the customer is always right, that the customer is the person paying their bills, until they learn that lesson, until they refuse to get their heads out of their ass and accept the fact that the people buying the product are king, they're going to continue to lose money. These things will continue to fail, and Star Wars will be more and more irrelevant than it already is. And believe me, it is already dead. So go F yourself with this big bag of bullshit.
I think they're just upset that they acquired the Star Wars fandom along with the Star Wars franchise. I think they wish it could still be $1 billion generating franchise without the fans themselves, but that's absolutely impossible. This is the last thing Inverse had to say. The origins of this toxicity aren't difficult to figure out. At the end of the day, it boils down to entitlement. Many male fans feel like they own the franchise and are determined to safeguard it from anyone that could challenge their ownership. That makes it hard for disparate groups to coexist, and it's even harder for any non-white, non-male creatives hoping to tell stories within the franchise. I'm sorry, but I do feel entitled to actual Star Wars stories when I go and watch a Star Wars show or movie. I still do, and I'm completely entitled to that, I think.
When I spend my money and I'm told that I'm going to get Star Wars, and instead I get, Lord of the Rings and a bunch of witchy poo crap crammed into my Star Wars, I am entitled to say, I don't like this and I'm not going to pay for it. I am the customer. The customer is entitled to get something for their money that they like. And if they don't like it, they're entitled to walk away. They're entitled to complain about it. They are perfectly within their rights to do that. What you want, Livy Scott, is you want someone to be a spineless drone like you are, just eat the slop and say, thank you, may I have another? Yes, this wasn't very good, but at least it checked the boxes of my politics, and therefore I will defend it.
Rian Johnson did The Last Jedi. Everyone hated it. He's straight and white as far as I know. J.J. Abrams did The Rise of Skywalker. Straight and white as far as I know. Everyone hates it. Dave Filoni is the guy that did Ahsoka and is doing a lot of the bullshit going on in Star Wars right now. Everybody hates it, and he's straight and white as far as I know. It really doesn't come down to gender or sexuality or color, creed, any of that kind of stuff. If you make shitty Star Wars, I'm going to let you know it's bad Star Wars, and people are going to get upset. When people stop talking about it and when they walk away and they don't mind that you've done all this bullshit in it, then you're going to be in a place so dark because you're going to be so far down the path that you'll never get the audience back. They're lucky that people even care at this point.
Well, not many, because this is the lowest rated Star Wars show of all time. You know, and they just keep getting lower. They keep getting lower. It's the same problem that Marvel has. And by the way, the people in charge of these decisions, the people in charge of these brands that are flailing, Bob Iger, head of Disney, straight and white. Kevin Feige, head of Marvel, straight and white as far as we know. Kathleen Kennedy, straight and white as far as we know. So a whole lot of straight and white people in charge. Seems like they are the ones that are screwing the pooch the most.
Absolutely. They have basically become the stewards of a dying franchise. They're letting it die before their very eyes. They probably cost at this point, I would say, Disney at least $2 billion worth of value. How much do you think anyone would even pay for Star Wars at this point?
Oh my God. I don't even know. You'd have to be a company like Apple that just has money to burn.
They certainly wouldn't spend the $4 billion that Disney did for it.
I can't imagine. It's not worth it.
It's not a viable movie franchise right now.
No, it's not a viable television franchise.
Blaming the audience has never worked in the history of anything, yet they continuously do it again and again and again because the Acolyte, because it's got, I guess, a gay female director and creative person, and most of the actors, I believe, I guess, are minorities or female, is critic-proof. You're not allowed to challenge the direction of Star Wars. You're not allowed to critique the screenwriting. You're not allowed to say, hey, that set design doesn't make sense for Star Wars. You're not allowed to say anything because I guess it's a special protected category of production at this point, and people just aren't going to fucking stand for it.
It definitely makes it critic proof. The critics are falling all over themselves on how great this show is. It makes the critics afraid. The problem is that the audience is way past being afraid of any of this stuff. They're way past the idea that they're going to be canceled. They're way past, thinking that they need to just blindly accept whatever they're given, because if they say anything, they're going to get called a racist. They're going to get called a misogynist. They're going to get called a homophobe, because none of those words mean anything anymore. They've been slung around so much that now, like, I'm completely immune to it. I'm like you, like 10 years ago, I've been like, why does somebody think that about me? You know, why I need to figure out what that is. Now, I don't care. I know that I'm not any of those things. And you can call me whatever you want. I'm still going to talk about the story. I'm still going to talk about the stupid decisions that go into it. I'm still going to talk about the fact that they don't understand Star Wars. I'm still going to talk about all the things that they've ruined. I'm still going to talk about it. We're all still going to talk about it. You can't stop us. We're growing. Your audience is shrinking, and the mainstream shill media like Inverse that are going to go out and defend you. They're all shrinking too, and they're going to get bought out, and all these people writing for them are going to get laid off, and then they're going to be crying, saying, I just got laid off from my job on Twitter, and we're all going to say, well, you reap what you sow.
Absolutely. If you enjoy the conversation, the back and forth between Aaron and myself, this is actually 20 minutes of a much larger podcast called The Geek Fix, normally about 2.5 hours every single Wednesday on Thinking Critical Patreon. If you would like to support us on Patreon, there's a link in the video description to go check that out.